people of Earth. My name's Jason.
Buongiorno. I jumped in there. I'm very sorry, Jay.
That's all right. His name's Steve.
It is. And his name's Jay.
And we are...
To our women.
We are to our women. And today we are talking about living abroad, something that we've both experienced, you more than me, actually. And but first, we want to thank our 109 subscribers.
Happy days.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Still can't claim our name, though, because YouTube have changed something in the software updatey thing that it can't be doing it at the moment. But we will get it as soon as we can. I'll keep checking. But thank you very much. So living abroad, Steve, you can start, mate. Where have you lived?
Thank you, buddy. So, yeah, living abroad. And yeah, as you quite rightly say, we've both done this, you an awful lot further away than I. And I think it's quite prudent to talk about it because, you know, the state of everything, not just our country, lots of people are thinking about moving somewhere else. Is things better abroad? Shall we move somewhere else? What shall we do? I mean, personally, I lived in France for several years, and I don't know if you can count living in Orkney as living abroad.
It kind of is. Explain to people who don't know where Orkney is.
So Orkney is it's right at the very, very top end of Scotland. So what you would do is you would drive all the way to the top of the UK, and before you fall in the water, don't do that. You need to catch a boat. So your first boat will be an hour and a half, takes you to a big island called Orkney, confusingly. Drive across that and take another boat for another hour and a half, and that will get you up to the Northern Isles. There's a fair few, I think there's a crazy amount of islands up there, to be fair, but not all of them are inhabited. But it was great. You know, I thoroughly loved living up there. It's a whole different world. It genuinely is like going back in time 50 years. No one locks their houses. There is no crime on the island, so therefore there's no police. So, I mean, I taught my daughter to drive at the age of 7, admittedly an automatic car, and she would drive at the age of 7, and she wasn't alone, you know.
Yeah, but she wouldn't. Just let's explain. She wouldn't go drive down the shops, though, would she? You wouldn't send her out to the, or would she?
Maybe she drove us home from the pub once or twice when we'd had a drink.
Oh, okay, that's a good story. Oh my word! But no police to do anything.
No, exactly. And on the odd occasion, it was quite hilarious. Because, well, to be fair, there is no MOT station on that island. So therefore, cars are exempt of MOTs. Right. But because of that, nobody taxed them, nobody insured them, nobody did anything. And it was just that you could literally get something with no doors on it, no lights, and it didn't matter. If it worked, you would drive around in it, you know. And but every now and again, maybe once a month, the police from the big island would make a concerted effort to come and show their faces. Well, it was hilarious because everybody knew, because the harbour master told everybody that the police had got on the boat at the big end. So literally all these cars would disappear off into garages and there would be no cars on the road for that day whatsoever.
And what made you come back?
Pam hated it. From the word go, Pam hates it. I loved it. I got to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I grew a few sheep up there and had the little farm and did all the bits and pieces. And it was. I loved that kind of a way of a life. Yeah. But there really is. If you want to go, there was two general stores on the island where you could buy pretty much most things. But if you wanted to do a big shop, for example, it meant getting the hour and a half ferry to the big island, and you only had a choice of two there. There was a Lidl's and a Tesco's. There's a little co-op, but basically that's your two biggies. And you're very dictated by the ferry time. So it's a 7:30 kickoff in the morning to get your boat, and then it came back at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Right. And you had that little window. And of course, if the weather was a bit poo, which it often was, no boats, so you couldn't do that. Your other option was to fly over, and it had these incredible called Islanders. If ever you get the opportunity to fly on a little plane called an Islander, they're quite well known. these things would fly in anything, Jay. They would come in sideways, upside down. It didn't matter. But it was the best way I can describe an Islander aircraft is like a Morris Marina with wings on it.
Wow.
It even had velour seats, 6 seats, and one of them
Yeah.
belongs to the pilot, by the way.
Wow.
And the kind of like there's a little boot in the back of it, in the tail bit, so you could kind of like shove your shopping over the seat, but only like a little plastic bag each. That would be it.
Again, for American viewers, a boot is what we call like in a car you have a trunk, we call it a boot, just to kind of explain, so that because we have 43% of our viewers are American. So
it's incredible, isn't it?
Stress that, yes.
That's incredible.
So my experience. So I went to live in Australia. There used to be a program on TV called Wanted Down Under. No, in fact, I've got to go back a little bit further than this. We used to love going to America. We went to Florida every single year with the kids throughout the 2000s, really. And I love America. I love even just driving down the road. You see all the big cars and motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. I just love everything about it. And so I always we started to look at emigrating to America. I sort of wanted to do that. And we just sort of thought it as a very difficult thing to do. And my wife started to watch this program called Wanted Down Under. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So they take a family, they live in Australia for 3 weeks, and they do, find a house, look at the property market, see what the job market's like, see what the schools are like. And at the end of it, they decide whether they want to go or whether they want to stay. And we started to watch that, and I just love the idea of being there, the sun all the time, because in Britain, we don't always get the good summers. We've had a good summer this year, but we don't always get the good summers. And when the summers are great, we make full use of it, don't we? We're out for the day, everyone's at the park, they're going to Foxton Locks or something, or they're having a barbecue, and it's kind of like a big thing, because we don't always get the weather. So we met the maximum of the weather. And you go on holiday, and it's for the weather, and we sit out. There's a saying: "Mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun." Because I've just come back off holiday, literally just sat frying for a week, trying to get a tan that's now gone a week later. And sort of that's the English way. So a lot of it was the weather, the difference in culture. I'd been involved in a family business for a long time, which I kind of felt it was time to kind of move on and do something different. And so I looked and I found a way in. It's quite difficult to get into Australia, but I did my research and I got visas, and we got over there. And we were over there 9 months. And I have to say, when all's said and done, if you take the weather out of it, that there's not a lot there. We lived in Perth. The closest city to Perth is about 3,500 miles.
Holy crap.
So you imagine, I put it like, you imagine something like you're living in Manchester, and the next big city is like Berlin. You know what I mean? And that's not even 3,500 miles, is it?
No, it's not.
So it's a big country, and once you're in that one city, that's kind of all you got. We like traveling around and all the rest of it. Saying that, I loved it. I took a year off work. I didn't go to work. It was just one long holiday, and I'd worked long hours in my other life. So it was nice to have time with the children and all that kind of stuff. But once you take the weather out of it, we used to like to, even now, like we'll have a weekend away in Sheffield, or we'll go down to Oxford, or do something like, and have a night out, spend the night in a hotel and go out for pubs and restaurants. And we like the diversity of what England brings. And of course, once you're there, you're kind of stuck in the city that you're in. And it's interesting because you get the good weather every day. Like you talk to the Aussies, and we live literally 2 streets back from the beach. We had a beautiful house overlooking the sea. And talk to the neighbours, and do you go to the beach often? We've not been. I've lived here 6 years, and I've never even been to the beach because it's there. It's always there.
Yeah.
It's a bit like it's a bit like we were talking the other day about never going to London because it's always there.
Yeah.
And so when you've got the weather every single day, a lot of the Australians don't even venture out because the sun's so hot. Whereas we have a hot day where everyone's out doing stuff. Whereas in Australia they have a hot day. They want to go to the cinema because it's air conditioned and they don't have to stand out in the sun. So it's, the whole culture is different. So I loved it. Sarah didn't like it. The only thing I didn't like, and I say the same. So their winter is our summer. Their summer is our winter. And once we got to April time, when it started to cool down a bit, I couldn't wait to put a pair of jeans on. I was so fed up wearing shorts and vests all day long. And I like clothes. I like getting dressed up and stuff. And the culture is so different. It's always, vests and flip-flops and shorts. I couldn't wait to get the long trousers on. I was bored of the hot weather. I was just bored of it. And we've had 2 or 3 weeks of really hot weather this summer. And everyone was moaning about it because...
Yes, true, yeah.
Because, fed up with it. And that's how it is all the time. You have to go and get your shopping still. And obviously I didn't go to work, but people go to work every day and all the rest of it. So once you take the weather out of the equation, the draw gets taken down quite considerably. And I think the thing is about England as well, and again, I compare it to America. If you talk to Americans, they love their country. They will all say, oh, Americans, the best country to live in the world. Well, you talk to, I say to English people, I lived in Australia, oh, they go, what do you want to come back to this shithole for? That's what a lot of people say. And I actually think England is a brilliant country to live in. It's a beautiful country.
I agree.
Don't get me wrong, there are areas that aren't as nice as others. But, if you get out in your car and drive, there is so many nice places in this country.
The diversity, Jay, isn't it? We've got such diversity, and stark contrast then to the distance that you were. That's blown me away. What you just said about the distances, bloody hell. But here we can. So where you are, you're pretty much in the centre of the country, aren't you?
Absolutely,
not far. But you can drive to the beach and back in a day. From where you are, so you can say, get up one morning, go, tell you what, we go to the beach. What are you looking at? 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours, pretty much anywhere around, really.
Yeah,
2 to 3 hours, probably 3 hours maximum. If you want to go to Bournemouth, I could do 3 hours. Skeggy, I can do in probably two and a bit.
Yeah,
Norfolk's 2.5, maybe nearer 3. So pretty much anywhere I can get to a beach. And it is it's not just, but it's not just the beaches. It's, you go to. Okay, I live in Leicester. You go to Manchester, is completely different to somewhere like Oxford. It's completely different to somewhere like Bath. It's to Stratford-upon-Avon. And you got all these different cities. And I say you just visit. We went to Newark yesterday.
Oh yeah. Do you know what? That's a surprising place, isn't it?
Well, the things with Newark, like where we are in Leicester, had a lot of investment in the 50s and 60s, and they knocked a lot of it down and built these huge shopping centres and stuff like that. Whereas Newark never had that investment. And if you look at it, all the buildings are all original. Like all the shops have still got that kind of charm.
Yes.
High Street in Leicester, and all the shops at the bottom look horrible. They've got the big signs and big windows, and it's really not very nice. If you take your eyes up that little level, and High Street's still got all the old buildings, and it's really quite nice. And you walk around some of the back streets down near the cathedral and stuff like that. There's still like original Victorian buildings and stuff. And it's really nice. But Newark's got that all round. They've kept the original buildings, and the buildings there are beautiful, really nice. And it was nice. I mean, it was nice. But you can go to so many different places. Whereas when you live somewhere like in Australia, and again, Australia is beautiful for its own reasons, for different reasons. I mean, I love the fact that you can go walk out in the bush and not see a single person, or even walk down the beach sometimes and not see a single person. But the other thing is like going out. Like I always kind of like getting dressed up, putting a shirt on, and being small. And I used to wear a lot of jewelry as well, which is a big no-no in Australia. A bloke wearing jewelry.
Really?
Oh my God! Yeah, they look at you like you got two left ears.
You a mate.
Yeah. Well, we walked in. It's funny stuff. We went up to this place called Two Rocks. We were a bit out in the sticks anyway, where we were. We went to this place called Two Rocks, and we literally walked into a pub, me and Sarah, and it was like some out of a film where everything stopped and they all looked round as you walked in, and I swear the jukebox music stopped and everything. There was no women in there, no women in there at all. Now I was driving, and I went to the bar, and I ordered 2 shandies. Now a shandy, for anyone who doesn't know, is half lager and half lemonade. Which is quite nice. It's actually quite a nice, refreshing drink.
It's a very refreshing drink, yeah.
And if you're driving, it's good because obviously it's diluting the beer. And I ordered 2 shandies, and some bloke at the end went, "Shandies?" like that. Really? And I was like, "Oh my God, we are in a proper redneck place." And that was in Two Rocks in Australia. So yeah, we loved Australia, but the day, because Sarah went back a month before me, because my kids were still in school and my daughter's, there's a lot of reasons anyway. So she went back a month before me. And the day she got on the plane was the happiest I've seen her. And she looked like her old self. She was all dressed up properly with her jeans on and her boots and stuff like that. And I just remember going into the departure lounge and not even turning around. She was just like so focused on coming home. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I actually thought when I came home, I thought I was going to go into a deep depression because although Sarah had sort of started the dream off, I'd really sort of got on board. You know, I'd really kind of loved the idea of living there and all the rest of it. And I thought I'd get into a deep depression, but it's going to sound really strange here. As the plane landed, I got me and my two daughters, and then Sarah drove us back she picked us up from the airport and drove us back home. And I remember driving down the M6 motorway. Sounds really weird. Looking across at the fields, seeing how green they were, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so beautiful."
Yeah.
I mean, how can you say that looking at the M6? Because I've not seen, because the grass out there is very brown, so I'd not seen green grass like that. And I remember driving into Broughton Astley, which is where I used to live, and the road seemed really narrow, and all the trees. It was April, and all the trees were starting to grow, and they were kind of overhanging the road and stuff like that. And I was just like, "That's so beautiful." And I've never looked back. And I always used to get really sad around the winter time, but I don't anymore because I really do appreciate the fact that the weather's a little bit cooler. I quite like winter clothes. You know, I always feel like in the summer you're wearing stuff that's not necessarily you, whereas in the winter I like big coats and long black coats and stuff like that. I like all that kind of stuff, and I kind of feel like the winter's more me. And all I do now is like, we've got the clock's going backwards in another few weeks, and then it'll be only a few weeks to the clock's, you know, the shortest day. And then also think, oh, it's getting lighter every night now, and I'm sort of counting forward. And we tend to go to the Caribbean in sort of January, February time, which always kind of helps lift me. So going to Australia has given me a real appreciation for the country that we live in. It's given me appreciation for the change in the seasons and all the rest of it. And I think England's one of the best countries you can live in, but you just have to look at it in a different way and not think of it as being just dirty shithole, because it isn't. You know, like I said to you, there are areas that are good, areas that are bad, but like anywhere.
That's
my take on Australia.
Really beautifully put. Genuinely, really nicely put. And you're absolutely right. Like the people that don't go to the beach because it's there on the doorstep. We don't appreciate what we have because it's always there. And it's only when suddenly those things aren't there that you're able to look at it again. Yeah, and really appreciate it.
I mean, I would say people who live in the city always want to go and live in the country. People who grow up in the country just want to go and live in the city. You know, we all kind of lust after the things that we haven't got. Whereas actually, there is no place like home. I mean, you've moved around a lot more than me, but I literally live 20 minutes from where I grew up. As do all my family. Apart from my younger brother, who's probably about 45 minutes away. But yeah, so we appreciate what we've got. So what about France? Talk about that.
I loved France, Jay. I got to tell you,
I love France.
Yeah. So, but we were a lot younger. I suppose that makes a difference as well. So we moved there. So basically, we bought a place in France when it was pretty much pocket money. And I know this is going to sound ridiculous. When we first started to look, we went over there a few times looking at places, couldn't find anything that we wanted within our budget. And just to put this into perspective, I'll tell you in a second how much that budget was. It really wasn't a lot of money. And we went to a property exhibition in Harrogate, French property exhibition. So we went there and we looked around. It was quite busy. This is during a time where there was big influxes of Brits moving over to France for no reason other than the cheap property. You know that is a reality of it. So anyway, we went round, couldn't see anything, went round again, and we saw this lady with just a little table in a corner who we hadn't seen before, and a couple of pictures behind her. The others were huge, great big stalls, you know, with all sorts of things going on. So we stopped and talked to her, and she showed her the very first thing that she showed us. I loved it. So it was, the roof was buggered. It didn't have any electricity. It had water going into it, but there was no drainage to get rid of the water. But it had just over an acre of land, and it
Right.
overlooked a thing called the Mont Saint Michel, which is
Oh yeah, no, yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. So it was
Well, it's on my
right
bucket list. On my bucket list to visit. That is.
off. It's phenomenal. You
Yeah.
won't be
Yeah.
disappointed.
No.
And it was right on the border of Brittany and Normandy.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
this place was.
Beautiful
So,
area. Yeah.
so this woman couldn't have been lovelier. And this is what got me. She said, "I'll tell you all about it," and she could tell us all about it because she lived there. All
Right.
of the other agents said, "Well, it'll tell you on the." They've got no idea.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
literally painted a picture. So we said, "Well, look, we're going to come out." So we arranged with her to come out the week after, go and have a look at this place, and a couple of others. They did everything. They put us up in they arranged a hotel. They did all the stuff.
Wow.
They were honestly, they've long gone now, sadly, but they were absolutely phenomenal. So we arrived, we drove there. We arrived over there, and they met us exactly when they should have done. Took us to the hotel. Literally held our hand all the way along. The next day, we go to meet this place. Oh, Jay, it was lovely. The grass had grown up to your thighs. But it was just so lovely. It was in this little tiny hamlet, and there was two other houses as well as this one, but they were really spread apart. You couldn't, if you shout at the top of your voice, you wouldn't be able to hear it from the next house, type of effect. So anyway, we said yes, we'll buy it, and I can't remember, and it was in francs. That's how long ago it was.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. However, here's the weird thing. It took 3 months of the process to be able to buy it. And during that time, they switched to euros.
Okay.
So we actually, although the price we agreed was in francs,
Yes.
we ended up paying in euros. And it was
Right.
15,000 euros.
Wow.
This place, right?
Wow.
And back then, the exchange rate was like 1.5 euros for a quid. So it actually cost us 10,000 quid. I remember it really well because I had to sell. Ironically, I had a Volkswagen camper van then, and I had to sell it to be able to raise the money. We never had the bloody money. We thought we'd worry about that after the event. So we bought this thing with a half-hearted idea of going over once a month, doing some work on it. It doesn't happen. Take it from me. You go over there, you get pissed, you come home, and you've achieved nothing. That's basically what happens. So we were both at work. We were both
again. Sorry, just explaining. Getting pissed means getting drunk.
Oh yeah,
doesn't mean getting annoyed. Angry. No, yeah.
So this one day, Pam and I both said, "Chuff it, let's just go." So we both gave up our jobs. We sold the house. By the time we paid off the mortgage and paid off our debts and credit cards and whatever else it was, we had. It ended up as 25,000 euros, 25,000 euros, which we thought was an absolute fortune. That's it. We're rich. We never have to do anything again. So we were given a caravan, a big twin axle with a proper bedroom in it, thing by Pam's brother. So we towed that over there, parked it up, and just bloody moved over there. And what made it so amazing was the people. The French get a very bad press, but I'll tell you what, they're the most amazing people. So the guy that had the house off to the left, basically, the day we arrived, so we knew him by now, because obviously we'd been there backwards and forwards, would not allow us to go a day without having a meal at his house. He was just an amazing guy. And the day we moved in, he went and bought, not us, he went and got this huge electric box thing, stuck it up on the thing, and this massive cable. It was I've no idea where he got it from, but it was like as thick as a baby's arm. He ran it all the way from his house to ours, so we could plug the caravan in and have electrics and in the house. Bless his heart. So we set to renovating it. It was brilliant fun, Jay. I won't go too much into it because it's perhaps a thing for another day, but it's more about living in this country. What got me is what was important was family. No one gave a damn what you drove. No one gave a damn how much you earned. Nobody gave a damn what you did for a living. It was all about what do you like as a person. And everything stops for 2 hours in France for lunch.
Yeah.
Everything. And, we really embraced that. We would have, proper lunch at lunchtime, and then just a light meal in the late afternoon and stuff. Well, we renovated it. It was absolutely fantastic. I had a great journey doing it. Learnt loads, and France was very good to us, if I'm honest, because I learned how to do some stuff, and those skills. Then I was able to utilize a lot for a lot of other Brits over there, and so we did quite well. Finished that house, lived in it for about a year after we'd finished it, and I put it on the market. Bear in mind, we paid €15,000 for it, and we sold it for €150,000.
Wow.
And that allowed us to then go. We went right over. I thought we wanted to live in Portugal, actually. So we went and spent a month in Portugal, and I decided then I didn't want to live in Portugal. So we went right over to onto the Swiss-German border, really, to look at a little tiny house that was there. And I bought that for Pam for her birthday. This little tiny house. Dead weird. It had been vacated during the Second World War, and no one had ever been in it since.
Wow.
Ever. We still have that house, and it's still exactly the same as it was when someone left it in the Second World War. I've never touched it.
Really? Wow. And what's your intention? What's your intention with it?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I genuinely don't know. I swear to God, there's tins of food in the cupboard from the Second World War. It's mad.
That'd be worth money.
Probably would.
That'd be worth money.
It probably would. So that's crazy. And anyway, then we bought a hotel by accident. So and again, you know what? I mean, this is the kind of money we're talking about. So we were looking at something completely different. And it's bizarre how things happen. We were parked in this car park in this particular village, and what I thought, ironically, was a ghost going back to our thing. And this guy was pure white, appeared from nowhere, but he was a miller. It wasn't a windmill, it was a water mill, and he was milling all the flour. Anyway, he came out because he was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And he said, "Did you know the hotel's for sale?" Well, the hotel took up this huge, literally half the Piggin Road, built in 1750 with a turret, as you would imagine, a stone spiral staircase, and all the bits and pieces. And anyway, before you knew it, the mayor had rocked up. And my memory of that is this tiny car with this little man and as many dogs as he could possibly squish into this car with him. There was, I don't know, 10 dogs, maybe more. And him and this little car. Anyway, arrived with this massive key, put this key in, and then we went. It was in a very bad way. Ceilings were down. There was all sorts of stuff. And anyway, the idea was we thought we'll make a lovely house. That was the idea. Buy us a house. And anyway, so Pam, being Pam, promptly fell in love with it. As I say, the stone spiral set. It's a very romantic place, I suppose. Big old cellar. The cellar I was telling you about when we were.
You told me about the cellar, the ghost one.
And so Pam said, "Well, you know, how much is it? €45,000.
Wow.
And Pam's going, give him a check, because we sold the house. Give me. But no, it wasn't that easy. It wasn't that easy. They wouldn't just sell it us. We had to go in front of the commune and the committee and all the other and do it. So anyway, they would sell it to us if we opened it up again as a pub. So we said, okay, we'll do it. So we opened it as a pub, and then we thought, well, if we're going to do that, we may as well open it as a restaurant as well. And if we're going to do that, we may as well open it. A hotel sounds very posh. It was only 9 bedrooms. You know, don't go thinking like a travel lodge or something.
Yes.
So we did that. I hated it. I absolutely detested my time there, because you were never away from work.
No, I can imagine
7 days a week, and all the money, if you like, that we'd made whilst we were doing the buildings and the renovations. Yeah. Not just our house. I did 14 while I was over there for other people as well. Yeah. And we, as I say, we did pretty good. This thing just swallowed money like you wouldn't believe. I mean, because it was so close to sort of Switzerland, you would in our time there, it got down to -25. Yeah. It was pretty chilly. So the heating is like constantly
Yeah,
chirping away.
yeah,
And you can
yeah.
literally just watch the money go ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. The best you could say for that was you got to live there for free, because you never really made any money anyway.
No.
That was that went.
We are
So
running
I was
out.
glad
Of,
to
we
get
are
rid of
running
it.
out of time, Stephen, on this one.
Oh,
So I'm guessing you came back to England because you didn't enjoy it.
just came back to England because it was time to come back, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
we'd had the adventure, we'd had fun. But
yeah.
the reason I wanted to mention this one is because, ironically, I don't know if you were the same in Australia, with all the political turmoil, and it seems to, well, it bothers me anyway. But when you're abroad, it actually doesn't bother you. Whatever's going on in the country, you just kind
Yeah.
of get on with your own little life.
Well,
And
for me, I didn't, because I wasn't Australian, and I didn't really, you couldn't vote or anything like that, and I didn't really think, didn't really know at that point whether we'd stay. We kept our house in England, so we always had kind of one foot here still because we weren't 100% committed. So I was, the politics didn't really bother me whatsoever.
so my advice to anybody, if they're thinking of going and living abroad, is the way that you did it is spot on. Keep a house
Yeah,
over here, go and
yeah,
rent somewhere, wherever it
yeah.
is you want to go, and you've still got, as Jay quite rightly says, you've still got your foot in the door back in the country. But it's life's an
But
adventure. Life's an adventure. Kind of fun.
absolutely. People always say to me, "Oh, was it a big mistake?" No, it was not a big mistake at all. It was a great time for me. I'm so glad we went, but I'm also so glad we came back. So if you've got an inkling to go abroad, you won't know till you try it. Give it a go, live your dreams. It could be the best thing ever. I know so many people that live in Australia that love it. There are a lot of people that were living there. Once I said to them, I'm coming home, would sort of almost come out of the closet and say, well, actually, I wish I could come home as well. But they don't want to tell people because they feel like they failed at something. So there's a lot of that. And again, a lot of people do go sell everything up to move across and get stuck there because they can't afford to come back, especially if they've been sponsored. But we are running out of time on this one, unfortunately. So we are going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've got something out of that. And keep liking, keep subscribing, and we'll see you next time.
Bless you all. See you soon. Cheers,
See you
guys.
next time. Bye.